So good afternoon, everyone. I hope I am disturbing you. I think after lunch, it's very difficult because as I know that I supposed to start uh, yesterday on this topic, especially uh, on human machine interface. Honor me. Can you able to listen? Is it audible? Okay. So, uh, introduction to human machine interface and its for rehabilitation application. And I think by now you would have understood what is human machine interface and what is rehabilitation application. So, anyone can you quickly say based on so far we had 3 days of lecture, what do you understood from human machine interface? What is human machine interface? Yes, anyone? Quick can answer what do you understand? What do you understand from this particular acronym? Yes, anyone? Hmm. Hmm. So create a system so which have signal transmission for what? Okay. So it is a human machine interface. You know very well. Uh, it is going to be we also call this as a man machine interface. We also call this as a man machine interface. Anything, everything is diagnostic. See, this is what you see in industry. When you talk about industry, we say this as a automation. When we talk about medicine, we also need to do a automation. See now, say for example, if clinically a patient is not disturbed, okay, a patient cannot be disturbed not only in India, in US or any abroad, any foreign countries. First and foremost, they will not give appointment for a doctor. A clinical interpretations only they will see. So nowadays you see blood samples are fetched from your house. Immediately these samples are sent to a doctor. Okay, doctor interprets. Next stage of diagnostics he advises. So it is a kind of man machine interface. I am trying to have a clinical examination like the best example would be a digital X-ray. So they get the interpretation with the digital X-ray or CT or MRI. They try to have an interface. They try to have a interpretation with a clinician. So you see a discharge summary. A discharge summary will have all these contents. I need to have a understanding about by itself. So what this understanding is for rehabilitation program. So what is rehabilitation engineering? Yes, anybody? What is rehab? To recover. Yes. So very good. So for such things, we had only 3 institutes initially before start of any clinical applications. There were only 3 institutes on rehabilitation program. Can anyone name what are all the rehabilitation institutes we had earlier? Huh? Yes, good. Then it met in Chennai. It's a rehabilitation center. Okay. Then what are all the other institutes, especially for rehabilitation? So we have another institute, CMC Vellore, separate rehabilitation center. One more. Delhi we have All India Institute of Medical Science, but for which DRDO is working on different streams. So DRDO has different rehabilitation center. I think Mallikarjun, can you name what are all the centers? Yes, good. So Artificial Limb Center Pune. Okay, so what is that center is doing on? Especially for defense, that is soldiers, border security force and other forces, no? What are all the other forces they are targeting on? For Army, Air Force and Navy. Okay, it is a limb center in Pune. See, if in the border security force, if a terrorist is attacking a soldier on his head, okay, you could see that they want to make them disabled. Okay, so government cannot allow such disability. We have to rehabilitate. So for that, that limb center, any other centers? Huh? Yeah, defense. Yeah, I am talking about government centers. Yes. So so all the centers are to recover the patients. See, best example is opposite. We had an industrial estate. Okay, you see many laborers have lost their fingers. Okay, many laborers have lost their fingers. So okay, whether Jaipur foot or whatever foot, okay, I can replace my finger. But you see, if I am replacing and my finger is like this, whether you will accept. See, I have done a replacement. After replacement, you see my finger will be like that. So you could see many people like this. They will be like this. Whether you will accept, we cannot accept. Am I right? So what we want to do, sir? I want to actuate. First and foremost, I want to actuate. So the same actuation, an orthopedician will do a connect a wire in between the joints. Okay, and he will make them flexible. Okay, flexible. But next intention is how can I make this as a operatable. Next is everybody has intuition. Am I right? Everybody has intuition, and that is how this rehabilitation applications are very well seen. See, now you could see prosthesis development everywhere. In Trichy, we have some prosthesis center. In Tanjavur, we have center. We have Hamsa clinic from Kaveri Hospital. Many private vendors are in existence. See, say for example, if a patient is subjected to a sudden stroke. So tomorrow we have a neurologist from the city. He is a renowned neurologist. He will be talking about stroke. Okay. So what happens to the stroke patient? So if you are not recovering the patient within 3 hours, their speech will be lost, their memory will be lost, their entire human physical structure itself is lost. Is that clear? So we cannot allow such things. So that is the very important objective of the rehabilitation programs. And these rehabilitation programs are going to recast by yourself. See, I am talking about with respect to neurophysiology. There are so many other things with respect to clinical, with respect to ortho, with respect to cardiac, with respect to nephro, neurology. So many rehabilitation centers are in prominence. So for this, the objective would be to recover as minimal as we are. Is that right? So how these things are possible? So for this, the most important thing, maybe tomorrow in my talk, I'll be talking about how the control and feedback systems are going to help in optimization. Okay, in optimization. So in optimization, so we have feedback systems, input signals, and machine output processing. So I think you would have seen about signal processing so far. I think Karthik would have talked about what would be the machine intelligence, what is a feedback. So feedback system, I'll be talking more on feedback systems tomorrow in my lecture. Okay, so you could see that we call these integration as HMI. So any system is a feedback system, especially human physiology is concerned. Any system is the best feedback system is our eye. Okay, so if you see that if somebody is going to hit or hear, you will try to move, which gives a feedback signal to my brain. Am I right? So that is how my feedback systems are done. And you also see that signals from human body, that is perturbation. Immediately, the physiotherapist, I think you would have seen physiotherapists are already here. Physiotherapist would try to give a signal, perturbation signal to stimulate, okay, to stimulate, especially when a sports person, I think one person is from sports now, who's that? Ah, yes, he is there. So, I think he will be he knowing more about sports before, especially arthroscopy. Okay, now many of the surgeries are arthroscopy. So before and all, if a sprinter or any athlete is trying to have some problem in their leg or any, see, you would have seen in cricket also, any person is injured, you cannot see them for 2 years. Okay, we cannot see them unless they recover by themselves. But nowadays the system is not like that. Because of arthroscopy, the same sprinter or same sports person can immediately come into the field. Is that clear? So such kind of acronyms are also here, which helps us for a better rehabilitation system. So human input signals are by and large going to serve mandatory for the requirements of the brain. See, when there is a stroke or when a person is met with the accident, okay, met with the accident, first and foremost, doctor diagnoses this a patient as a coma. That patient has gone to a coma stage. Okay. So coma means what happens? There is a perturbation in the signal memory is lost. Okay, when the memory loss is inferred, your signal strength is zero. How do you recover or retrieve the human brain? That is what is important. Okay, how do I need to recover? So when I am going to recover my human brain, I need to stimulate. Okay, when a stroke patient is sent to hospital, immediately clinically they will give a number of experiments. Okay, whether the blood supply to the brain is normal, whether the blood activation is normal, everything they will say. But when the patient is under steady state, immediately nowadays all the patients are shifted to rehabilitation program. Why? Because the concerned person would have lost speech. He cannot take a solid food. He cannot take anything. His consumption is zero. So a tracheostomy is done. Through tracheostomy, they will send some fluids. Everything is lost. So when everything is lost, how do you recover? That is important. So you have to start from a kid. See, when a kid is born, first and foremost, you train the system. You train. You show apple and say A for apple. If you would have shown a ball and showed this A as a ball, the same kid will say after 10 years that is A for ball. Okay. So you are training at the initial stage, showing apple, A for apple, B for ball. All this are inhibited training, whatever I am trying to give. So similarly, in a stroke patient, when the memory is lost, they are starting these kind of recursive training system. So such training is done based on machine output, based on the outcome of the system. See, if a tongue itself is not going to slip from one position to another, getting a speech is very, very difficult. So only we have speech therapist. There are separate study on speech therapists. They will make them to train, especially in oral cancers. Oral cancers will affect their speech. They cannot talk. So they will do a speech therapy to retrieve or recover the speech. Is that clear? So this is how the training starts. So the components of HMI include input signal, feedback, signal processing, and output. So signal processing is very, very important. I think most of the lectures you would have seen on signal processing. So what is the three physical components to make a human interface? So you see that physical components facilitating human connections, digital tools. Nowadays everybody talks about digital tools, and connects the human intention to machine action. See, the most important problem, see, yesterday also there is a news that uh, the parents has instructed the kids not to use a gaming tool. You see that from the 9th floor, the kid has taken up a decision to die. Yesterday, that was the news. So, AIMS doctors are seriously thinking about this particular task, which leads to autism. Which leads to autism. See, once, especially in US education, you will be talking about bullying. Bullying means it is like autism. Whatever I am saying, these kids will not follow. Whereas if you give a mobile phone, they will do whatever they think. So this is one of the very, very important where many pediatrics are working on autism, and there are many rehabilitation centers in Chennai. How many of them are from Chennai? So many US people are coming to Chennai to take care of the kids on autism in Chennai, which is very, very difficult. So only this digital tools enabling machine interference is one of the very serious tasks. So you see that digital tools enabling human machine communication is one of the very serious tasks. Why? Because this digital tool is also having a good thing, and it is also having a bad effect. See, nowadays many of them are using for game, that is bullying or gaming. All these gaming events results in many of the suicidal crimes. Suicidal crimes are happening. So with respect to hardware, software and communication bridge, you see that we need to have a seamless interaction. See, before and all, when we go to a doctor, first and foremost, doctor says, the doctor will hear from you. Okay, nowadays, you see, they will talk only through diagnostics. Before and all, they will ask, doctor will ask what was the problem, what food you ate in the night, what was your problem in the morning, what was the problem in the afternoon. So all these things they will discuss. So that seamless interactions makes them to have a very pictorial understanding of all this. But nowadays the theory is totally different, that it is not through geometry. Okay, so HMI role in rehabilitation program. See, for such things we need to train the system, we need to get the signal, we have to study the signal and interpret it for faster recovery. So Taylor therapy based text, which text systems are available, that is personalized theory. As I said, you have charts to train them from, like A for apple, how to train them for based on the basic theory. So next is adjustment improvement of the patient, that is real time monitoring. Third is patient engagement. So how do you engage? See, when a doctor makes all these things, the clinical things normal, the patient is shifted to a rehabilitation center. So many of the private vendors are inside the rehabilitation program, where they have physiotherapists, where they have speech therapists, where they have sports personality to guide them to do exercise. So separate training systems are available with food. Okay, so these are all the therapy, real time monitoring and patient engagement for faster recovery outcomes. Okay, so when we mean to say a faster recovery outcome, if you are running short of everything, the time is lost. Especially as I said, stroke or coma, or a person who met with, see why 108 system is made very fast to recover a patient at a faster rate. See, it has inbuilt ICU, it has inbuilt machines, it has inbuilt ventilators to make the patient recovery at a faster rate. So this is how the periodicity in human behavior is understood for a faster recovery. So with respect to the HMI in rehabilitation, you see that the motor recovery is what traditionally everybody is applying. Independence, therapy support, disability assistance and quality of life. So disability assistance is making more worse. See, so only you see that many old age homes are coming into picture. Disability in the sense assistance for old age homes. If a patient, if they are more than 80 years, if now somebody is not going to take care of them, so there are some disability centers are in place, especially in Coimbatore and all. You see there is a separate place called as Nana Nani, where entire rehab systems are available for them. So from morning, what is their diet? From afternoon, morning, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and what is the exercise? How the modality is operated through disability assistance. Why? Because after a certain age, they become like a kid. See, seniors behave like a kid. So how these assistants, if you are not see, they would have been in a joint family. Suddenly their son or daughter is going abroad, they put their parents inside a home. So they are mentally affected. Why? Because why to be here? So such is also one form of disability. Nowadays, disability is in different form. Okay. So such disabilities are also taken into consideration. So here we call this as a motor function recovery. When orthopedic patients are subjected to any stress, we need to do a recovery based on these kind of functionality. So, how to enhance this for effective communication, especially with respect to HMI? We have a limited rehabilitation, that is ineffective recovery process. HMI through advanced technology, there are so many technology, that is app development, so many app development. See, you see many of the, you have a best emergency response support system. Government of India has taken, especially for women safety, you have a touch system, the Kavalan app you have. So many systems everybody is trying to build, and these systems are for effective outcomes with enhanced rehabilitation process. Is that clear? So when we talk about these things, how do we enhance the rehabilitation with respect to HMI? So based on this, you see that there are different paths of independence. Smart wheelchairs. Many people, I think many students are working on smart wheelchairs. How to make the system as a more efficient one. So a smart wheelchair is nothing but it is self-dependable, and especially for disability handling students with disability, you see that everything is smart. They can understand better, and their mobility is also very good. Next is exoskeletal systems. I think already Professor Karthik would have talked about what is exoskeleton, how do we build models. So how do we solve the models? Tomorrow I will be talking about in my lecture. And next is communication aids. Yes, for effective communication, there need to be a monitoring. See, many such programs are available, especially you see sensor nodes. Everybody uses LoRa, everybody uses different forms of IoT enabled systems for different applications. So how do we aid the communication? Next is eye tracking system. Yes, like node tracker. Now eye trackers are more powerful. Yes, eye tracking is done for uh, advanced movements through autonomy with enhanced quality of life. So these systems will helps us to make the system as a more independent. So what are all the different pathways? You see that the first and foremost would be on virtual reality. Everybody talks about virtual reality. How real you are going to make the system is. So one is through virtual reality with respect to visual ski seats, sound enhancement through understanding and responsiveness, vibration and force are major for feedback. Especially vibration is used for to detect when the patient is under coma. Their sensory organs are detected through vibration, and you see that through visual feedback, auditory feedback, and haptic systems are very powerful for enhanced user experience. So all these things helps us to enhance the quality of the patients for a better experience. So you see that these engagements are also taken into for different existence. So based on this, there are different pathways, and Professor Ramana would have talked about the EEG signals and muscle movement by Karthik. So paralyzed patients, you see how the movement has to be established. The shifting has to be done for this paralyzed patient. So when the patient is locked inside the system, now robotic assisted control and wheelchair navigation. So robotic assist, I think Professor Ramana would have been talked about how human cobots have been used for the application to enhance the patient life as independent. So these two things carry hand in hand. Before and all, we don't have virtual reality and MMI integrated. We had initial tools to build. Now VR and AR are combined with surgery, with interactive environments, patient motivation, performance monitoring, and safe therapy for enhanced rehabilitation. So with these enhanced rehabilitation, you could see that many of the VR and AR programs are uh, intuiting the synergy for their growth. So based on this, the enhanced rehabilitation is done, and you see that the overcoming obstacles are cost. So only you see many of the prototypes are requested. So only you see many of the institutes biomedical courses are started. Why? Because we need to use prototypes for our own good self. So only government of India has initiated many of the social related tasks, especially in villages. We want to give a low cost solution for many of the development programs, and for that you have a successful outcome. And revolutionized systems which depend on AI based HMI. Okay, AI based HMI is possible, but without action or without a model, is it possible? See, please understand, without a model, we cannot validate the model. We cannot validate. See, if I am modeling my hand, I should know whether my hand is trying to do a linear motion or a non-linear motion. See, most of the human systems are linear. But you see, as long as the blood flow inside a human body is unidirectional, okay. Suddenly, if it starts bidirectional, means then you are going to die. That is the only first response of a doctor. As far as the system engineering is concerned, we will understand any system. See, especially in a valve, you see that the arrows will be indicated for this particular direction. Based on that only, I will say my fluid will go this side or that side. If you see that the fluid is trying to return back, definitely my system is going to be in a failure. Especially modern, especially see our human body from the brain to the gut or at the bottom of the finger, the entire human system is having 64 differential equations. Please understand, 64 differential. All these equations only are sitting inside CT machine and MRI machine to take a scan and interpret your data based on each and every patient. See, without CT nowadays, you see, can you say any clinical interpretation without digital X-ray, CT, MRI? We cannot say. Why? Because all these models are hidden and it is inbuilt. It gives interpretation based on every patient compared with the original one or the existence. Is that clear? So that is how the interpretations are well understood. So when we talk about such understanding, you see that these models will help us to have a scaling up of data for future. So that is AI based model. Next is wearable and wireless interface. Yes. See, my own experience on wearable devices when I was in University of Connecticut, Yukon for wireless for wearable devices. So only you see, I will not have a watch in my hand because in my 2018 itself, we worked for Apple and Samsung along with my professor Key. You see, all the data are grabbed. All your data are grabbed just like that, because see, that time when I in 2018 the technology was only with Chinese. See, if I am developing anything in University of Connecticut, US, for deployment only Chinese were there, so they only deploy. Okay, so we worked for Apple, Samsung, and now you see many vendors are there. Okay, at that time we first worked on PPG signals. If you measure one PPG, okay, so your sampling is done, taken in your watch. If you have a frequent sampling, you can get more data. See, my data, if I am connecting to my mobile or if I am connecting to my server, it gets every day, whatever activity I am doing, it will be stored. Is that right? So when we did the first development on PPG device, especially for wearable, our communication was with respect to IEEE 801.22 with respect to a wireless protocol. So this was based on IEC standard, and that was integrated based on IEC standard. So All the device development was started only through wearable, and it was establishing a communication through wireless network. Next is brain machine communication. Nowadays, everybody started saying, every doctor is saying that a patient has to be subjected to 24 hours of recording. A patient should not be disturbed. You connect it and allow the patient so that whatever activity you want to do, let him do. But the data capture has to be made. So only 24/7 all the data centers have a brain machine interface. Next is with respect to the home based rehabilitation system. Now in India, you see, especially in COVID, Apollo had their own uh, program under this particular fourth subdivision, but now they removed it. Okay, so this is one of the home based rehabilitation is popular in abroad in foreign countries, so that if they want to take ECG, you get the ECG and check. If it is required, they will shift, or else they will not give any appointment. Is that right? Because their way of interpretation is totally different compared to that of other systems. So when we have these things, multifold role in HMI, you see that HMI in rehabilitation with respect to muscle movement, yes, intent detection. So I think Professor Karthik would have taught about this EMG effect. And next is rehabilitation device control. Yes, device control has to be done for understanding and repetitive training improvement. That is what I am saying. You have to train them with sheets. Again, A for apple, B for ball, all these things, they have to start repetitively. Is that clear? So when we talk about repetitiveness, we need to have a recovery. See, everybody, sir, I am doing everything in a black box. See, everybody is done in a black box in a rehabilitation center. If you are doing anything, nowadays they are measuring everything in early morning. They will send to the patient family that how far the recovery is done. See, if I am spending so much of money and if there is no recovery, what is the point in spending? So only popular rehabilitation centers will have effective communication. So based on this, you see that the processes come into picture. So myoelectric processes is one such uh, uh, program where we have EMG signals, natural environment, comfort and usability. So when all these things are realistic and usability, how I am going to use it for the betterment. So based on this, you see that HMI plays a crucial role in modern rehabilitation. And there is a bridge between human and assistive machines. Everybody talks about assistive devices. How do we have assistive devices? And enhanced recovery based on independence and continuous advancement will expand its impact. So all this fundamental knowledge, especially in establishing these things, will lead to a good control and emergency response. So only you see under this program, they have connected everything through an emergency response system where any emergency is given immediately so that the patient is shifted immediately for a better understanding. So this is a very, very brief introduction on HMI. Why HMI is used for rehabilitation as a part of the title of the workshop, how this is going to be integrated with rehabilitation engineering. So based on this, the next important thing is how I am going to clinically apply all this for a research oriented problem. How I am going to hybridize these two things, fusion of technology. So how these things are going to be fused for betterment. So is and how the system integrations are going to be on par with these prosthetics, myoelectric prosthetics with respect to EMG, natural environment, comfort, and everybody wants comfort. See, even the patient has to be comfort. So non-invasive measurements. I need to do a measurements non-invasively. Let not disturb the patient. Let them be as normal as they are. Is that right? So this is the objective of the overall objective of the system. So why all these objectives are important is that it is to make a reality for future. That is why you see that virtual and augmented realities are in place for better understanding. So with this, I have given a very brief understanding to integrate. Integrate said there are several mechanisms with respect to communication protocols. I can do wirelessly or through wired networks, and the data has to be shared through a based on IEC protocol. So IEC protocol is one of the technical standard to compete. And now you see in India we have Bureau of Indian Standards. We have to adhere with these standards to enhance the rehabilitation system. Is that clear? So do you have any doubts or any questions? If you have any questions, you can always ask. So any questions? So I think 3:30 they have some assessment. So before that they will be giving some introduction. So based on the introduction, the assessment will be there, and tomorrow we'll start the session by 9:30 in the morning. So I'll be handling on control and optimization problems for this handling rehabilitation systems, and subsequently we will have Ramana. 3 o'clock we are planning for valedictory function, and immediately after the valediction, I think the program remains closed. So before that, whatever uh, whether whether have you been visited our lab? When is the schedule? What is the schedule? Whether they will be visiting the labs? Showed already showed. When today? Okay, at what evening? Okay, so I think they are planning for some experiments here, and they can also if you are interested, you can. Where is Harrier and team? Mallikarjun, you check with them what is the plan. Okay. So you can visit and you can see the facility. So it is always that you see interactions are more important, and you see Professor Ramana is having some good number of connect, so you can talk to him on various aspects. So, and please try to visit many of the rehabilitation centers, especially see that is the objective. So only you see many institutions have opened biomedical department is we want more human factory for developments of product development. Okay, we have to have a human generation. See, without the role of biomedical engineers, they cannot develop any prototypes. Clinical interactions you see with the doctor is very important, and unless you collaborate, there will not be a effective outcome. Is that right? So please try to visit and try to have experience. How many of them are working on this area, on the subject? How many students are working on this? Where are you from? Oh, you are working on rehabilitation, madam? Chennai. Which is? Oh, oui. Under whom? Under whom? Oh, NRS. Okay. Okay. So, you have a very good rehabilitation lab here. Each lab here we have in SRM. You are working in our hospital EEG lab. 24 hours recording. No. I'm asking whether you are taking data from that device. Okay. So better see, please be very clear. See, whatever we are doing as a research in this area are all data emerging from the system. So, but our objective is how to design the data is very important. How to fetch the data is important. Okay, all machines are doing, but when I do take the data for my understanding for the research, you cannot do. Okay, so even with wearable device, it gives data as a Excel format or any format, but whether can I give it for clinical? No, unless you develop a hardware, you cannot have a clinical interpretation. Is that right? So you have to develop a hardware, and the hardware should be a viable communicator for understanding. So when we understand the hardware, there should be a synchronization between hardware and software. Then only your logic. See, that is how the smartwatches work. Okay, that is how the smartwatches work. So only I am saying, when we take up such enhancement, it should be very clear. Archana, now the assessment. Assessment. Oh, feedback from the knowledge. Assessment. Only you have to do. You can. So I think whether all the students are, see, this is a very important assessment for as far as Gyan course is concerned. You have to evaluate your marks. So this is the first assessment. Okay. So please take things seriously. All are available. If you are not available, they will mark it as absent. Archana, you can explain. So you can give it directly here. Whether what, how do you, whether the names will be written?
Say because they can write names, so please write in the
Okay.
answer.